Hello. It's really weird to introduce yourself. How do you begin a talk? How do you kick things off? You sort of shuffle about and look a bit awkward, so I decided the way to do it really is just through the medium of sound and GIFs and video. So this is me. Hello. Hello, it's really nice to be here. Very excited to be in Manchester. My sibling lives here, so I've had a lovely day touring around, having a great time in the sunshine, and everything's lovely. Anyway, I've got loads to get through, loads of slides. Let's go. So, my name is Gavin Strange. Hello, it's really nice to meet you. I go by the name of Jamfactory on the internet. My pronouns are he and him. And I live and work in beautiful Bristol in the southwest of England. If you haven't been to... He's got a really great scene, known for great music, great time, great action, and everyone's together in this southwest, because I'd never been to university. I kind of, everything I'm going to show you, I'll have formal training for. Just fell into it and fell in love with it, and then making stuff. But because I didn't go to university or have any further education, anywhere different. And Leicester is fine, the Midlands is fine. But after a while, wanting something. Voice massive attack, and he just kind of shivered up to me and went, "I don't want you to do it anymore because it's embarrassing." Oh, that's fine, silly, no, that's fine. It's all right, he's got a sister, it's fine, she's younger, I've still got time. Spent ages going into B&M bargains, buying all of these Hot Wheels, and then using nail polish remover to take all of these die-cut plastic cars off, to take all of the different things off. Oh, hello, got a replacement mic. Thanks, look at this. Such a professional. Don't fall down the stairs. Thank you. Spent all this time really excited. Did the kids at the party care? Of course they didn't. They just ripped them off and just chucked the packaging in the bin. Of course they didn't care. But, you know, it's just that, just being inspired and being around them and sort of making things for absolutely no reason is lovely. Sometimes it's not all positive. Sometimes you might be, for example, travelling up from beautiful Bristol on a 3-hour car journey to Manchester, where you're going to be really excited to talk at a festival. You might stop at the services along the way, and then your 4-year-old may have an absolute screaming meltdown in the car park because you didn't buy her the cat-based cuddly toy, and you just utter this magical phrase of "fuck's sake." I found more and more as my beautiful children get older, I'm uttering this magical incantation a lot, and I feel like there's real solidarity for other people out there who kind of say this magical chant quite often. I've found myself getting really quite good at it. I can do it in different pitches, at different tones. I can say it very quietly. I can just mouth it to myself a lot. Children are wonderful. I do a lot for the kids, but I also do a lot for the kids, sort of pass it off. I mean, I'm not trying to fool anyone. It doesn't really matter. My wife totally understands why I would just spend hours locked away in my little shed making silly stuff, so I don't need to justify it to anyone, but I like beginning to justify it, going, "Oh, it's for the kids, I'm just making this for the kids." Like Pinplo, which is my Nintendo Switch-powered virtual pinball machine surrounded by Duplo bricks. It's for the kids. No, the kids will love it. The kids will love to play in it. No, this is why I'm spending hours and hours, and why I'm spending hundreds of pounds on vintage, buying as many Duplo bricks as I can find. It's for the kids, they'll love it. Kids absolutely, A, couldn't care less, B, it's nowhere near where they can access. This is in my personal studio. They can't come in there, it's mine. But it started out as for the kids, you know. Any and all reasons to be creative, to stay creative, to just make stuff happen. You've got to do it. But in all seriousness, they do like it. We do play on it a lot. And it's just, you know, it just made me laugh. I think this is the thing. Any project that you just begin and it makes you chuckle and you feel energetic, and that, like, it can be the smallest of wins. It can be such a little thing. Sometimes with passion projects, you get so overwhelmed with God, where do I start? Where do I begin? I don't have the right tools. I don't have the right time. I don't have the right equipment. Nothing's perfect. Yada, yada, yada. All these different reasons that you get in your own head. But you've just got to start with those really little easy wins. And like I say, in this year, in the time frame, in the timeline we're in, where everything is a nightmarish hellscape all the time, 24/7, it's incredibly hard to find that energy and passion to be motivated. So if you start small, if you start with a chuckle of, I think it'd be quite funny if I could try and make a pinball table, that'll do, blow. You know, just start with a silly little idea and see where you can take you, then that's a really, really exciting place to be. Anyway, I've deviated, but wrapping up our family in our lovely home is our adopted rescue greyhound, Peggy, who's an absolute sweetheart, but do not be fooled by this beautiful, majestic photo of her galloping on the beach. This is what she looks like 99.9% of the time, because she's an absolute derp dog, and she's amazing. So, why the hell am I here talking to you? Why? So I'm a director and a designer for Aardman. It is an absolute dream job that I absolutely adore, and there's many different reasons. But first of all, if you don't know Aardman is a creative studio. It's based in Bristol, where I also live, and it's celebrating its 50th year anniversary next year in 2026. And what I love about it, I mean, the main reason is I feel like I'm at home. Aardman is a place that just wants to make joyous things and silly things, and it wants to make you laugh, and it wants to entertain you, and it just is about joy. And the more I've realised kind of who I am and what I want to do, I just feel so aligned there. When I first started out in my creative career, I was so frustrated and annoyed, and for a huge percentage actually of my career, that I don't have a style. I don't really have a visual style. I would have killed for one. I would still really kill for one. I'm not someone that is known for any one particular thing. I don't have anything particularly distinctive. But as I've kind of got older and got a bit more introspective, I guess, I've realised that, well, I might not have a style, but I do have a voice. And actually, I should really lean into my voice. And I think my voice is, yes, I might make visually different stuff in my career, but actually my voice, I think, is often the same. I want things to be joyous and fun and bright and silly and surprising and sweet and characterful. And so actually I've really kind of leaned into that, and then realised that what my voice is fits in so well at Aardman. And another reason is that just how it was formed. It literally was two mates who met at school. They were sat next to each other because it was Peter Lord and David Sproxton. They met when they were sort of 15, 16, and they got sat next to each other in class, and then they realised that Dave's dad worked at the BBC and had access to a 16mm Bolex camera. And so on weekends they would just muck about with it and just have fun. But then they realised on the side of the Bolex camera is a button that advances the film gate one frame at a time. So if you point the camera at something and photograph it, and then advance the film gate by one frame, and then move the thing that you're photographing, and then keep doing that and expose the film, then suddenly you get animation, you get things come to life. And for them, that was massive. They were, you know, this was 1970, you know, sort of 74, you know, the only sort of animation things that they knew was you know, like Ray Harryhausen and things like that, and they could only go to see it in a cinema, you know, as a treat, that not very often. So the fact that they discovered it for themselves in this space is so lovely. And then 50 years later, it's still there, still operating. Dave and Pete are still massively involved. In 2018, they gave it to the employees, so it's an employee-owned company, which is A, really lovely, but B, it means it can never be sold. It can never be bought by anyone. It's truly independent, and there's just something very sweet and lovely about this scrappy bunch of people in Bristol, a bunch of weirdos in a dark space making creative, fun things, and I just feel at home because weirdos stuck inside a dark space making things. And so that, you know, that sort of passion is very easy to have to work for this place. And just kind of knowing for them and for me working there, it's about characters, and it's about joy, and it's about expression, and it's about kind of it's not reality, it's an escape. And again, kind of the space and the place that we're in, I love escaping. I love just going to different worlds, and whether that's just drawing a character or watching a movie or playing a game, you know, just I love it. I love what they make, and I'm very proud to be there as part of what they make. But this is what's really important to me. It's the humans. It's the human beings. And I'm sure, like all of us, you are sick to the back teeth of every goddamn conversation in creativity being about AI. Don't care about that. I don't want artificial intelligence in creativity. I want human intelligence. I want the humans. I want their tactility. Whether that's plasticine or pixels, I don't care. I'm not sort of talking about the medium. It's just about human beings. And again, in this hellscape timeline we're in, just being able to connect that back to other people like us who make stuff and find the joy in just creating. It doesn't have to be good. Doesn't have to be released. It doesn't have to be anything, but just making something, writing, photographing, painting, planning, whatever it is that you do or love to do, whether it is what you do as a day job or whether it's an absolute sort of side hustle, passion project, just total indulgence. Like, I don't want that taken away by anything or anyone. I want to be in control of that. So long may humans continue to make stuff forever and ever. Anyway, I didn't plan on going on an AI rant, sorry. It's just it enters my brain like everything else. Like if you go on LinkedIn at the minute, like, let's share an AI post. Let's burn it all to the ground and start again. LinkedIn, there's no button for that. You can't, I right click it all the time. All you can say is, don't show me this post, not destroy it all and burn it to the ground and screw the patriarchy. There's not a button for that yet. Definitely didn't plan on that bit either. I've taken a lot of hay fever drugs today. I'm not quite... feel quite weird. I'm sorry, I keep sniffing. I keep going on tangents. I don't know what the time is. My children have exhausted me. Who knows what we're in for tonight. So, what's this? This is stuff I make at Aardman. So this is just an example of the variety of stuff that I'm lucky enough to do. So this was a title sequence for Off. Off is a big creative festival in Barcelona every year. Hopefully many of you have been. It's brilliant, and it's bonkers, and it's massive, and it's very Spanish. Nothing starts till like midday. It's great, lovely vibe, and they have title sequences, you know, as many creative conferences do. And so I got to co-direct this with a brilliant human called Merlin Crossingham, which A, is the greatest name you've ever heard, B, the most British name you've ever heard, and C, he's just an incredible human. He's a brilliant director. He's also the creative director of Wallace and Gromit at Aardman, and most recently, he was co-director with Nick Park on the brand new Wallace and Gromit movie. So he's an amazing human. So just to be in the gravitational pull of him is amazing. And back then in 2016 when we made this, just, you know, the amount I learned from him was vast and huge. And I taught myself After Effects on this project because it was a passion project essentially. We kind of got to use the equipment and the studios of Aardman, but it was a passion project between Merlin and me and many other people. So the amount of learnings on this was lovely, but the fact it got to be there in that space in Aardman, supported by those people was just lush. And it was like this passion project just sort of on steroids really, with all these different people that we could call on and just to make stuff, but still sort of totally independent. And we referred to it as a stop frame, live action, motion graphics, rap video title sequence. Yes, that was it. Because it was all of those things, because we all love all of those things. And so it was just quite nice, especially free, you know. Off as a festival was very hands-off. So Hector, who was the founder of Off, commissioned us to do it. He doesn't watch any of the title sequences until the very same day with everyone else. He gives you no notes, no feedback, no nothing. He watches it on the night, which I think is incredible, and we already knew that was bonkers. But then what we also discovered that he asked for a drawing before he'd seen the film, and then Hector got the character tattooed on his leg. But he hadn't seen the film. That little blue guy could have been a little Nazi or something. It could have been this horrendous symbol of hatred, and he just got it tattooed on him because he's that kind of amazing human. Luckily, it wasn't. The little blue guy represented creativity and passion, and was all about energy and life and love. So luckily for everyone, it works out great. But just to be around people like that who take a risk on you, take a gamble, is absolutely lush. And then sometimes it is lovely just being stuck in a studio for hours on end, just experimenting and learning and growing. Quite a few years ago now, BBC Two rebranded here in the UK, and they had this new design system where there was essentially the screen was sort of like a crop of a two, and something had to come on screen, cover it, and then disappear again. Essentially, they had beautiful, gorgeous CG renders. They had these beautiful animations. A lot of them were by Future Deluxe, you know, the brilliant creative studio. really gorgeous work. So what we did was we bought all the slime we could from the works in Bristol. We actually emptied all of the different branches in Bristol and then stuck magnetically puppeted eyes underneath it and shot it with 1,000 frames a second camera. It went terribly. It went really wrong. It was incredibly hard to manipulate, and we had to shoot it twice. But it worked in the end, and again, it was lovely, and it was lo-fi, and it was tactile, and it was silly, and it was just, you know, again, just what a learning experience, what a freeing experience, and also just tactility in humans. And yes, of course, we could have done a brilliant, you know, fluid sort of simulation on that. Like Houdini would have spat that out like in an instant. You know, it would have taken you 15 years to learn Houdini and figure it out. But then when you finally did it, it would be amazing and it would be gorgeous and you'd be able to control it and you'd be able to change your seed of or your render and you'd be able to cache everything. Nope, nope. We just hid in a studio and tried to make some stuff. But it's just lovely, and it's lovely, you know, and it just extends. You know, one of the projects I'm most passionate about that I was so lucky to direct was a film called Turtle Journey for Greenpeace. This was commissioned by them. They wanted to use animation to tell a impactful story. The sort of brief was they wanted to make people laugh, then cry, then feel galvanized to take action. Because actually what the topic was with this project was, it was a campaign of theirs called 30 by 30, where they are putting pressure on the world's governments to protect 30% of the world's oceans by the year 2030. They want to create special sanctuaries. 30% of the world's oceans need to be protected sanctuaries to establish and to make sure that the biodiversity of our oceans lives on, you know, far outlives us. But obviously Greenpeace do a lot of action that is direct and very visual, and you know, they make films and they make documentaries, but they also realise that that tact doesn't always work for everyone, so they wanted to use animation. The year previous to working with us, they did this beautiful film with a tiger about palm oil, and it was narrated by a brilliant actor. I cannot remember her name, but it was gorgeous. It was this really gorgeous, impactful film, and everyone was talking about it, and they really loved that animation could do that. So they came to Aardman. I was lucky enough to win the job as a director. But what was great for me, that was the first time I truly felt like I sort of inserted my voice. You know, not having a style, but having a voice into an actual day project. You know, I do everything, all my passion project stuff, but this was, I got to inject myself into this project, because ultimately Greenpeace coming to us, we're discussing something that was really about loss. It was loss of habitat, loss of species, loss of biodiversity. And so I tried to channel how can I make this connection to fellow humans, but still using modeling clay and stop frame animation. So I thought about loss for me, and I had just become a dad at that point. My son was sort of 1 or 2 at this stage, and so I thought about loss. What could I not bear to lose? And it was my young family. And so I got to make actually an incredibly personal film, but for a commercial client, for a really important cause. And it was just lovely. It was just such a special project. We got to work with an incredible voice cast. That was an amazing experience, you know, to be on a project that really means something and to really sort of tell everyone about it and why it's important and get great performances out of them. I got to write each of those actors a special little letter, sort of saying thank you. I included some of our gorgeous concept art by one of our brilliant artists called Sylvie, who works at Aardman, to say thank you so much for being on board with this, and we're going to come and record your voices in a few weeks. Just wanted to say a big thank you, and you know, on behalf of Greenpeace. And so it was like, what an honour, what a massive honour to sort of have purpose and meaning and to, you know, have an important story and to be connected to that, to be a part of that was lush, really lush. But again, it comes back to humans. It comes back to these people, these fellow human beings, whether they're compositors or VFX artists or writers or stop frame animators or sculptors or riggers or DOPs, whatever it is that they do. Being around those people to all pull in the same direction to make something with purpose and meaning is so lovely. It's really, really lush. So that's kind of one aspect of it, but also I'm so lucky that my dual role is director and designer. That I have sort of a split role. So if I'm not directing stuff, then basically I get to be a good old graphic designer. I get to use sort of composition and colour and typography and all of that good stuff, the things that I use for other people's productions. I get to work with other directors. And Aardman is really exciting. I got to work on the brand new Wallace and Gromit movie, Vengeance Most Foul, for these lovely, lovely humans. I love this photograph because each of those people are fantastic. On the right here is Merlin Crossingham, the brilliant co-director of the movie, and the lovely fellow that I work with on the off titles. That's Mr. Nick Park in the middle, creator of Wallace and Gromit, and that's Richard Beak, aka Beaky, who is one of our brilliant producers at Ards. And what I love about this picture is Wallace has got his own little BAFTA. They made his own miniature BAFTA to take with them, which is absolutely lovely. I mean, it's a gamble, because if we didn't win, what do we do with it? But we did win. We won 2, which was amazing. So we got to use 2, which was lovely. But again, just like, that's wonderful. I absolutely love that. And it was just great, just using graphic design and illustration, the kind of work that I do. And my work, particularly in this, is very sort of graphical and clean and sort of simple. But just, you know, this was Norbot, one of the characters, scans Gromit's garden in an early sequence in the film. And this is basically our love letter to Terminator, when Terminator scans in Terminator 1 and 2, when he's trying to find the boots and the motorcycle. So it's, you know, being a parody and a love letter to things that we love, but also just everything's a silly gag. Every word in there is silly. It's nonsensical. It's joyous and it's silly. But then there was multiple parts of this. So sort of I was lucky enough to do a lot of the computer graphics whenever sort of computer operating systems were represented on screen. So I got to sort of geek out in doing tons and tons of massive illustrations in Illustrator, and then taking them all into After Effects and then whizzing them around. And just being part of something that's joyous and silly and sweet, and you know, just this is a screen graph from one of the sequences. In his motor functions on the right, it's head, shoulders, knees, toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. just so silly because you can be like date and time, vaguely in the past. Just you know, just being part of that, being part of a gang of people who just want to make silly things and joyous things is really, really special. And just, you know, just trying different techniques as well. Actually, we had loads of amazing, gorgeous, mega high poly resolution scans of our 3D puppets, because this was all stop frame, but for the sequence that I just did, I needed it to be really low poly, and the fact that I'm not I'm literally the opposite of our previous incredible speaker, and this was about as many polygons as I could manage. There's probably about 24 there. You've got 16 million, amazing. I've got about 24 on them. But that was the style. That's exactly what we needed to do. We were emulating technology of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So it was lovely when your style and your sort of application can work in you know, exactly at the right time. And just making drop downs silly is very sweet. But the thing that I'm probably most proud of, and I tried to do this in as many projects as possible, is sneak my children's names into every project. So this is only on screen for about 4-6 frames maybe. It's just a little bootloader that just goes really quickly, and that's my son and daughter's name and birthday. And just trying to sneak that in again is being part of a joyous, fun, silly, entertaining world. And I'm so proud, and I'm so steady, you're right, Doc. So just, you know, lucky to be there with those humans. But that's half of it. That's like, you know, what you do during the day, whether that's you have a full-time job, or you're a carer, or you're in education, or you're at school, or whatever it is that takes up the majority of your time. If you're creative, then you still have ideas, you have thoughts, and actually the stuff you do during the day kind of gives you inspiration for the night, and then the stuff you do at night maybe gives you inspiration for the day. And actually you don't stop being creative at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or whenever it is that you clock off or finish, right? And that's what I do in my own time. In my own time, I go under the name of Jamfactory, where I make absolutely all the things that no one wants. No one asks for this stuff, no one commissions this stuff, no one wants it to exist but me. And I just found the power in just pursuing that and just loving that and kind of wearing it as a badge of honor and trying to spite those people who didn't commission me. Just for again, any and all reasons to stay creative, any and all reasons to make stuff and do stuff. And it extends to everything, all the things that people don't ask you to do, because obviously you do get pigeonholed. You have to. this is both a blessing and a curse. I think when you're new to creativity at any age, actually, you need to fit somewhere on someone's Excel spreadsheet. You need to have something, what it says on your business card. You need to sort of fit in a label and a box as a primary skill, which is a positive. But I think then it's up to you to tell people your secondary skills and your tertiary skills and all the other stuff that you can do. So I started life as a graphic designer, but obviously connected to graphic design is illustration. So I started doing more illustration. But if you're a graphic designer and an illustrator, then of course you understand and love sort of composition. So composition flows right into photography. And if you're looking at photography, if you're taking one still image, why not take 25 still images and stitch them together 25 times a second, and then suddenly you have filmmaking. So all of this stuff is connected, and I just loved finding out those connections and making stuff and doing stuff, and then just going, oh, I can just do it, I can just make it, I can just create and not wait for anyone to ask me to do this stuff. I ended up writing a book about these things, which was never a plan. These connections are never ever thought of, planned out. But you know, if you don't start, if you don't try, if you don't just noodle about and fart around for a little bit and see where it can take you and sort of fall down that rabbit hole, then who knows where it could take you. I never in a million years thought I could end up writing a book. My English teacher would agree 1,000%. My maths teacher would also agree. You can't do 1,000%. But still, just, you know, you never know where this stuff is going to take you. And I've been doing it for a long time now. I've found real joy in just the loop of basically not waiting for anyone to ask me to make stuff, make something, put it out there, share it with the world, and then move on and make something different. And it has worked. I feel like it's got me here. It's got me on this stage right now. It's got me this dream job at Aardman. It's helped me meet some lovely other human beings along the way. Then, man, if that has helped me get here, then I never want to stop. I want to see how far it can take. And that is a really infectious feeling, because you feel good. You know, if you've made something for yourself, whatever it is, whether it's a silly little graphic or a poster or whatever, it feels really good. And as important as it is to make stuff yourself, I think also just if you can carve out a space, anything to be creative. Hello, this is my first space. I mean, flipping heck. Yes, I like that slow clap, whoever did that. Just the iPod, the very IKEA silver thing, the modem, the mini PCs. Remember we all went through a phase of trying to cram PCs into very small form factors that would overheat incredibly quickly. And obviously the absolute masterpiece, my magnum opus, blue and silver flames on the bedroom wall. Look out, ladies. It's a miracle I'm married, it really is. But just having a space is really important. And I've gone through many over the years. Sometimes it's literally been a cupboard under the stairs, because that's all I could fit and afford, whether it was a rented accommodation or in my parents' base, whatever it is. You just try and stay creative until, like now, this is my final Pokemon evolution. This is my home studio, and it's a minimalist, absolute hellscape nightmare. But for me, like, this is how I like to work. I like to be surrounded by stuff. I like screens. Just put screens directly in my eyeballs, please. Just I like visual input. That's kind of how I like to work. And that's the thing. I'm now really trying to like work towards just optimizing myself to be creative. And as time changes for all of us, whether you, this is the thing, you know, you start out young and you only sort of have yourself to contend with, but then as you get older, perhaps you have a family, perhaps you have other responsibilities, perhaps you are a carer for other people. Like, life gets complicated and messy really quickly, and then all of a sudden your creative workflow changes. But if you can sort of ensure that you're prioritizing that creativity at the same time as being a good human, and I think that is helped by trying to stay positive and passionate, trying to carve out a space for you to make that happen, it just makes it all a bit easier. And the really important thing here is sharing it. Like, it's all well and good making something, creating something, doing something, but if you don't share it or show it with anyone, then how will you ever move forwards? How will you ever get those opportunities? If you're totally self-directed and all you want to do is fill your hard drive with stuff yourself, lush, that's absolutely great. But if you would love those projects and those passions and those ideas of yours to take you in a new direction with another crew, another set of people, then you never know. You've got to share it with the planet. And so for me, it's always been digital. I've always had a website, jam-factory.com, and I've changed it over the years, just consistently, just redesigned it, just tried every new technique to make it happen, but I've always had a space. And now more than ever, actually, it's incredibly important to have your own space, because I don't know if you noticed, but billionaires are the worst, and they've ruined everything, and all social media is terrible, and like we need to regain control of our digital spaces, and we do need to have that impetus to sort of just control how things look. I think because I was born in '82, so the sort of Web 1.0 in the early 2000s were massively influential for me, and I built a community of people that I got to know through Flickr and customizing my MySpace page and building my early websites, and like pre-social media, like controlling how, not only how your work looks, but how you presented your work was incredibly important. And in the last 10 years, obviously, social media has totally connected us all in amazing ways. Of course, we're all here thanks to that. But it's removed any creativity and joy from how you present yourself, and I miss that. And so I think it's more important ever that we build our own sites, we'll build our own systems, we'll build our own communities again to make stuff look how we want it to be, you know, just to be a reflection of who you are as a human being in 2025, and what do you do and what could you do, and you know, it's another extension for how you could get projects and how you could see yourself in the world. So take control of your own creativity and put it out there, and use every network, use and abuse every network. But at any moment, feel free to pull it off that and to put it on something else. And there's this great term, I think, called POSSE, P-O-S-S-E, which stands for like publish on sort of self-site, syndicate everywhere. I'm getting that wrong, but it basically means, no, create your stuff first, and like on your website or on your Discord, and then seed it out to Blue Sky and Instagram and Discord, but always control it yourself. And I love that. I feel like this is an exciting place to be. Just make your own site. I mean, this is an absolute UX nightmare. I'm sorry to any UX designers in. And I realised I just didn't care, because it was my site and I could make it not usable. It's only recently started working on iPhone, because I didn't think that if you put all high resolution images and 5 videos playing at any one time and 4 ticker tapes and scrolling things, it crashes your phone. But I kind of don't care. Like, I like those days where you could do that. You could make a mess. Do you remember, like, you would insert some custom HTML into your like MySpace page and you break everything? I miss that. I want to break the internet again. That energy to just control stuff is sorely missed, I think. Didn't plan on going on a rant on this either. I've got this slide in front of me and my brain's like, stop talking about destroying the web, stop talking about the web. Anyway, I'm going to talk about some work. So, Wallace and Gromit, shot on iPhone, commissioned by Apple, projected 101 meters tall on Battersea Power Station. Any single one of those words is amazing. And for me, this was all one project. And I just wanted to share just a project that was a project of a lifetime, absolutely mind-meltingly exciting and cool and interesting and strange, but it essentially was that. I was lucky enough to be the director of Wallace and Gromit, a short animation that projected every single night in December 2024, December just gone, that was entirely shot on iPhones, all in stop motion animation, projected 101 meters tall onto the front of Battersea Power Station. It was bonkers in absolutely every way. Like, the ratio of those towers is nuts. It's about 2:16. It's absolutely bonkers. Everything was crafted by hand. It was all the electronics in all the lights. So the story was Wallace and Gromit decorating their 2 respective trees that flipped up. They were all decorated by hand. Even the lights and the electronics and the pulsing in those lights was programmed by hand, because it advanced on a stop frame basis. So it can't just play out in live action real time, it has to advance on a frame by frame basis. And just being with these humans, being with these people, surrounded by these craftspeople who had all just finished off the Wallace and Gromit movie, which was really exciting. So we got these people who knew that world and those characters and that aesthetic so well, and just to be a part of it, be amongst it, was just so exciting. Just being in their aura and being close to them felt like I was being smarter and I was being a better creative, and it was just, it was just this absolutely beautifully bonkers project that was just like, again, so because it was so unique, everyone was just so hyped on it, because we just, you know, when you're working on anything, you know, you're reviewing it roughly how it will look. I know we're looking at, if you work in print, then you're working on a screen, and then you've kind of got to think about how it's going to look when it's printed. But working on testing your rushes on a 16:9 OLED screen is one thing, and then thinking how it's going to be projected over 100 meters tall on red brick with a white cylinder tower is just something totally different. And I love that. Again, I can't believe that sort of creative exploration and mucking about just got me here. It was lush, and you know, it was a brilliantly bonkers challenge, shooting all on iPhone as well. And so not only was the entire animation shot on iPhone, the entirety of the behind the scenes was shot on iPhone, every still photo was shot on iPhone, even my live action video references, what's happening bottom right where I act out the different characters to give to the animators was captured on iPhone as well. And even because the project was so sort of physically massive, we had to shoot every frame in 2 positions. So what's happened here is the phone is mounted in a motorized Moco head, and so when an animator hits capture frame, it takes the first frame and then automatically it goes woo, with a tiny little burst of movement. It moves a very specific degree and then captures the second frame and then resets. But that's all programmed in as well, and that happens for every single frame, all 6,000 of them. So it was just this brilliantly ambitious project, and just sort of seeing where we could go with it as well. You know, I love shooting behind the scenes, so I ended up shooting all that stuff because I love being in the room with these people and seeing what they're up to. I've got to be there anyway. I'm reviewing stuff and being part of the team. I might as well shoot it. I might as well capture it. I even loved shooting on the iPhone 16. You can shoot spatial footage now, which is 3D. And so if you then load that into Apple's Vision Pro, the spatial computer, you can see your stills and your video in 3D. And I love shooting. I used to shoot 3D stills with a slide camera, and then literally have a slide for left eye, slide for right eye. And I loved it. And so when I heard about this, that I could shoot 3D, was just so flipping exciting. So again, just feeling the joy in seeing where all these projects take you, and now just capturing stills. I ended up just sort of being a unit stills photographer and just capturing photos of these people I really looked up to and shooting them all raw and grading them, and I think like that, then my self-exploration passion project stuff then feeds into the daytime stuff as well, of just making things and capturing things and seeing where it can take. And no one commissioned me to do this. This wasn't a part of it. I just wanted to capture it when we were there, to document it for myself, but also just to be useful and to try and, you know, use those secondary and tertiary skills and say to the world, hey, I could do this too. You never know. But, you know, working with Apple was really, really special. Just there was things that only they can do. Like when we were kind of halfway through, they were like, oh, and of course we'll capture the projection by helicopter on the launch night. Sorry, what? Did you just say helicopter? Yeah. I'm here. I'm about there. This is launch night, sort of immediately at launch. I'm sort of just behind this thing here. You probably can't see it, but my brain's leaking out of my head. About there, going, oh my God, there's a helicopter in the sky. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It was just lush. It was just so lovely and really emotional as well, just to see something like that such a great crew has worked together on, and just more bonkers things happened. Me and Nick Park met the King. That happened inside Battersea Power Station, which is Apple's gorgeous headquarters. Yep. We ended up giving a talk. I saw my face massive on Regent Street. Gave a talk that same night about the project to these people in this gorgeous store. But what meant most to me was on that same night was me and Nick Park. Nick is a huge creative hero of mine. That you know, is the creator of Wallace and Gromit. He's a brilliant director. He was also the creator of Creature Comforts. He's the co-director of Chicken Run. He is a man of. He created Shaun the Sheep. You know, he's amazing. He's such an amazing human. So to be able to use his characters and work with his characters was just. I knew the pressure. I absolutely knew the pressure. Of course I did. But in what a brilliant show of leadership. He and Merlin, who's the creative director of Wallace and Gromit, never felt the need to apply more pressure on me. They knew that I knew, and that was such amazing leadership, because it just meant that I could really focus with doing the best job for them. I wasn't sort of like scared of them. I could connect with them and ask them and talk to them. And then I had already had such a lovely connection with them both because of the passion projects like the off titles, you know, 6 years previous. So all of this stuff, all of this connective tissue, all of this making things and doing things is really, really important, and it means something, and then it connects in ways that you never knew. So this was the last time that I was there. Just me and Nick. We just had a cup of tea and a toastie, and we came outside in the rain, and we were just looking at the projection, and he was filming it for his friends back in Preston, and he kept turning around saying, "You must be really proud, Gav." And I was like, I am, Nick, yes. Because that just means the world to me. Like, to have someone of his stature and his creativity, and like his creativity, his creations, his ideas, his fun has allowed this to happen. I'm only here working on this project because of what he originally created. So to play a role in that, to be a part of that, is not only just amazing and feels lovely for me personally, what a testament to just where can creativity take you? Like, isn't that amazing? You can just have this idea for something that you think is fun or joyous or whatever it is that you want, the emotion that you want to elicit. If you act on that and you take it to places, then flipping heck, isn't that exciting? Right, something different's going to happen next. Hold on, Manchester. Hello. So I make really wonky music, really wonky music, and it absolutely terrifies me to do so, but I'm forcing myself to do it all the time because now I feel really elated and joyful, and it was funny making that. I recorded my children shouting, "Manchester Motion!" And of course, sampling the iconic Kevin and Perry when Perry goes to Manchester. And I just love making it. I make it under the name of Project Toy. I saw this thing on the internet years ago and I was like, what is that? What is it? I don't know what it is, but look, it's got colours and lights and buttons. I think working in creativity and especially graphic design, keyboards and mice kind of look the same, and yes, you get nice shiny computers, but the form factor is always the same. Our inputs are really, really similar. But I saw this, I was like, what is it? It's got buttons, so I bought it, and I didn't really know what it did. I knew it connected to Ableton, which is music making software, but I was just enamored with the screens and the buttons and the lights and the colours, and I bought it. And there's this term that gets thrown around of all the gear and no idea, but I don't think that's true. I think when you're new to something, actually, it's all the gear and you're full of ideas, but nothing is clear. You don't know what to Google, you don't know anything, you literally just stuck, but it feels so new and exciting and fresh. And so I just decided just to get stuck in. I just would make stuff, and I realized that actually constraints are my friends. And so kind of back then when I started making music under the name Project Toy, videos on Instagram were square and 60 seconds. And making a 3.5, 4 minute piece of music's really, really hard, but I figured I could probably make a beat that's 60 seconds long. Okay, so that constraint suddenly is way more achievable than figuring out how to do a bridge and a chorus and a pre-chorus and all of this music structure stuff that I didn't understand and still don't understand now. But 60 seconds was achievable, and a square image to post it, yes, I could figure that out. I could just sort of learn After Effects a little bit more and do music visualizers there. And so I thought, okay, well, let's just keep going. And so I made it real, I gave it a name. It works wonders. If you tell someone you've named something, then suddenly it's legit. You've legitimized it yourself in your own brain, and suddenly you have to give it more weight, you have to give it more energy because you're named in it. You start giving it good old graphic design. I created a design system. Who for? Who's the design system for? It's just me on my laptop. There's no one else going to use it. I'm not going to give style guides to anyone, but okay, yeah. Like anything and everything to trick yourself to be more creative. This has really, really helped me actually. I made merch, of course. Of course you would make merchandise for something no one knows of, no one cares of, but my mum has one, my dad has one, my sibling has one, and a lovely fella called Dave from Sussex bought one. Shout out Dave. You know, just any and all, you know, it just was fun. Hello, excuse me. It was just, but what it did was it made me go one step beyond and shout out Max on Cinema 4D, because I just was like, okay, well, I've learned After Effects, maybe I should start giving 3D a go. And it just meant that, okay, I'll start to get more ambitious in my little musical beats. I'll try and get more ambitious in my visuals. But that design system I showed you a couple of slides ago came into its own, because now I only ever create visualizers with a circle or a sphere, a capsule and a triangle. And what that means is I can just get cracking. I'm not spending every night going, okay, so what's this visualizer going to be here? What can I do? No, I've got 3 shapes, use them. It just keeps it so much more achievable, and it really helps me with the momentum. I started trying to put character stuff into it as well, and to try and bring my Aardman sensibilities into that stuff and see where that can take me, trying to learn my 3D skills more. And I know this is incredibly basic, but for me, as someone that isn't in that world often, it was a great reason to try and make and do and see where it could go. Every designer wants to make album covers. Of course they do. These are not album covers, these are just SoundCloud thumbnails, but it felt the same. It felt just as exciting, but again, it kept it achievable because I'm just using those 3 shapes. And all the time, if you find a new toy or a new technique or a new typeface, or sometimes you just need a reason to try it out. Because I already had a framework that I knew worked, I could then just go, oh sweet, well I want to try that brush in Procreate just to do that sort of scribbly thing, or actually I want to try some flary stuff in Cinema 4D. Just seeing where that stuff can take you, and having a graphic system again made it achievable in the time frame. So I always use the same typefaces, the same fonts, and just kind of rearrange them. But it just means I can just get to the end product quicker, and that's sort of for me what it's about in passion projects, because I know that now with 2 children and life is complicated and messy, that I only really get a couple of hours an evening if I'm really lucky. So if I can be quick in making stuff happen, then great. It means I could just create, and then I'd buy more hardware, or I'd find new things. The internet would show me new things. You know what the YouTube algorithm is like. As soon as you've taken even a relative interest in something, you just get spammed with other stuff. So my feed is just full of very exciting and incredibly expensive music hardware that I cannot afford, but I really want, and I cannot justify getting it, but I really, really want it. But I did over time save for some of those things, but it kind of just meant that I just was learning on the fly, and so then that would feed into the visuals as well, and I would make more music, and I would make more things, and then I would get more little bits of hardware, and then I would just showing and sharing, and genuinely no one is watching this stuff, and it doesn't matter. I knew that from the outset. I'm not trying to get views or engagement or anything. It's more for me like a marker. Like, I finished it, it's out there. Sweet, I can move on to something new. I can try something different. And just having hardware and just colors and lights and buttons, and I'm just in this loop of make more, and just trying to be this, just trying to be productive and not precious, just make stuff. And I know it's not great, and in the early days, like just performing on stage there, which is not that, but that would terrify me, and I was so scared to even do it. But obviously that didn't matter, and you don't care, and you will go home forgetting that ever existed. But in your head you're like, well no, they'll think it's silly, and they'll think I'm rubbish, and it doesn't matter. Especially in the world that we're in creativity, you can take so many risks, because apart from your own ego and your own sort of, like, we can all just go home and have a little cry. That's fine. No one needs to see us crying in the shower. That's absolutely fine. That's our prerogative. But you might as well at least do the thing that scares you, then deal with it, and then move on. Like, you're just going to build on it, and just sort of seeing where it can take you. So I'm really interested in a particular piece of hardware which is called the OPZ. Connects through Unity, the game engine, and you can control things. And again, I'm really not a good coder at all. Side note, it's nose. This is nose. Absolute filth bags. Nose. But just sort of like seeing where this can take you. And actually, I'm doing a new title sequence for a creative festival in about 3 weeks' time. And I've said, hey, I reckon I could play the titles live on screen using Unity and the OPZ. And they were like, yeah, great, sounds great. I don't know how to do it yet. There's only 3 weeks left. I haven't finished it, and I also haven't started it. Watch this space. Anyway, but just like actually kind of it's given me confidence to just not care, not worry. I try and integrate this in as many talks as I can now because it doesn't matter. Again, it's fun, it's silly. I learn lots in sort of trying to, like, this setup is kind of crazy with Johnny tonight as well, because this is also streaming. Like, all my talks get pushed through to OBS so I can have this real-time live waveform underneath, and then the GoPro is connected into this, and all of that, like, or just that, like learning and growing technology, and just seeing where things can take you. But for me as well, like the future of Project Toys is really exciting, and I think could go to really great heights, really.
It's like farting.
It is like farting, yes. Anyway, Manchester, don't wait to be asked. Please do it because no one asked you to do it. Just do it to spite that fictional person who's not commissioning you, who's not emailing you, who's not reaching out. Do it if you wanted to see it exist in the universe. Please, 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 please seek creative satisfaction wherever you can get it. It is not your employers, your educators, any other human's responsibility to make sure you're 100% creatively satisfied. And when I first joined at Aardman, I thought, this is it. I'm going to get 100% creative satisfaction, but this cathedral of creativity, that's it, I'm set up for life. Of course it's not. That's no one else's responsibility. So even when I was on projects that weren't taking me in a precise direction, I remembered it's up to me to do that, to fill that gap, to fill the void with stuff and projects and ideas and silliness, and see where that can do it. It's totally up to us to get that creative satisfaction. Just less tinkering, more tinkering. Just stop thinking about it. Stop worrying about it. Stop obsessing over it. Just have a play, have a noodle, have a twiddle of a knob. See where you're going to go. Just see what can steady. Just see what you can. Some of you have had a few drinks. Just see where you can go. Just have a little play and just have a tinker, and it can grow and it can develop, and that kind of leads into that point of being productive and not precious. Just make stuff and craft stuff and do stuff, and a huge one here is don't make it perfect, make it now. It's something someone said to me at Aardman a long time ago, and of course if we're talking about our day job, if we're talking about clients, and we're talking about huge projects that you work on, of course you strive for perfection, of course you do, but also the other side of you, the other part of you that makes things for yourself, that is doing it because you got into creativity because you love it and you're excited, and you just feel the need to make that stuff, then you can obsess about it being perfect, but it won't be, it can't be, it's impossible to be. So just let that time in yourself, just enjoy it, and please don't make it perfect, make it now. But if you are just feeling like, yeah, that's all well and good, you neon idiot, but how do I as one human, how do I as one individual make a splash, make a difference? Like, it's so overwhelming. We're on a planet of 8-9 billion people now, and a hefty percentage of them want to do what we do. So competition is fierce, and it's only got fiercer in the last few years as things have got kind of gnarly. How do I stand out? How do I make a difference? That can feel really overwhelming, and I get you, but I think the only thing I could say is that just remember that even the smallest of spoons can make the biggest of waves. Manchester, you're amazing.